Stacey Murphy is a certified intimacy coach and author of the book, The Secrets to Get the Guy and Keep the Guy. Hey, welcome to the morning show.
Hey, good morning, Bruce. How are you?
Good. So political affiliation may be a dating deal breaker, huh?
Well, for at least almost 50% of the Democrats, they feel so, right? And almost 25% of the Republicans feel the same way. So for some people, yes, that's the case. But for others, they are brave enough to dip their toe into what I call interpolitical relationships. And there are those that can be very successful at it.
So none of this is exactly surprising given the partisan antipathy seen in the overall public. That said, should you limit yourself that way and only date if you're politically aligned?
Well, I would say it really depends on what you're truly passionate about. So if you're passionate about politics, then yes, you need to stay in your lane, right? Because otherwise it'll be like the Cold War. But if you're more passionate about the relationship, there are certain things that people can do if they want to be courageous enough to go into this dynamic where it can actually be successful. And I even have personal experience with that myself.
And I look back, you know, you had James Carville, Marley Matlin. They got along. So if you have political differences, you're not necessarily doomed.
No, you're definitely not. I mean, I always tell my clients, if you really employ like these 4 things, then your chances of success in what I call interpolitical relationships actually increases, right? So the first thing is respect. Understand why this other person or your partner or someone that you're just getting to know, you know, why are they in that particular political party? And that was my particular situation. So the partner that I had at the time, he voted with his wallet. Even though he was a more social liberal, he was a fiscal conservative. So we were like, okay, I understood why. So there's that respect. The other thing is, you know, have agreements so you can have boundaries around this, right? So you don't have like the elephant in the room. So our agreement was don't talk politics, right? It could be that simple. As humans, we try to complicate things, but it really doesn't need to be that complicated. And then have clear communication and then also accept. And acceptance is a huge thing. You're not trying to change your partner. And as long as you're trying not to do that, you can have a greater deal of success with these interpolitical relationships.
So maybe the key is just sometimes, instead of avoiding politics, because you can't always do that, agree to disagree?
Exactly. You know, and I always say there's like a 30-minute rule. If you're talking about a very heated subject, which we all know politics can be, only do for 30 minutes, because beyond that, you're just going to go downhill. And then after that, just say, you know what, let's agree to disagree. And I understand your viewpoint, you understand mine, and then just keep moving forward. So that's where that acceptance, you know, comes in there. And it's no different that if it were a relationship where the people there have 2 different religious or spiritual beliefs, or even interracial relationships. It all comes down to understanding, communication, agreements, and acceptance. And if you do that, your chances are going to be a lot greater at success.
And here's something else that I find that works, because Christy and I are on different pages politically. I count to 10 and then go take a long walk on the beach.
Some people have to take more than count to 10 and things of that. I mean, let's be honest, you see what's going on out there. And this is why it's so important to be able to clearly communicate, because without communication, the connection and everything starts to implode. And we actually see that going on in our society. So for some people, like I said, if you're really passionate about politics, then you're going to be in that camp of the 50%, almost 50% Democrats who would not date outside or date a different political party. And then also the same thing with almost the 25% of the Republicans. And a lot of it also may have to do with our economic status as to why there's a difference between what Democrats will do and what Republicans will do. So Democrats may really focus on social issues regardless of their economic status, right? And so that's why in Democrats, it can be a little bit higher in terms of those that won't cross political lines. Whereas Republicans, the information will show maybe their economic status does play a role in how they would date and who they would date. Just like the individual that I was with, he voted with his wallet. So there wasn't a conflict. concerning of War of the Roses when it came to politics between us.
I gotcha. And since I know she's not watching because she's at work right now, I can say this. Never say I'm right and you're wrong. Stacey Murphy, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Bruce.